Hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic, and thank you for joining me in another collection video. I'm showing you all the issues that I have in my Fantastic Four run, and this is, I guess, the final part of Volume 1 in some respects, as it comes to its first ending. I think I said at the start of the last 90s video, the 90s were a weird time. It was very gimmick laden, there was lots of events, but there wasn't actually much going on with kind of tidbits of information. There was a few, you know, first appearances jotted here and there, but they're not of really any huge consequence. So just look at the pretty covers and listen to my voice try and make the 90s sound just that little bit more interesting. Don't forget to check out and wait till the end of the video, because we discuss what happens to this series after this particular run ends. Okay, let's crack on with this second part of the 90s Fantastic Four. We left off just about to go into issue 372, which is not a great time for the Fantastic Four. We've got Johnny here on the cover. He's just set fire to a university. Sue has been possessed by the Malice entity again, and the Thing has been imprisoned by a rogue watcher. There's loads of kind of guest appearances in here. Don't know if you can quite see at the bottom there, but you've got Spider-Man, you've got Skrulls, you've got Devos the Destroyer. There's just loads of guest appearances in this particular issue. Issue 373, first appearance time. A character that really is of no consequence, but it's Makio Yakaki, who is the financial advisor to the Fantastic Four. And this is kind of the time when, well, just everything's getting blown up all the time. And she's obviously advising on their financial structure when it comes to helping out the university, which Johnny has just blown up and set fire to. Again, another issue with loads of guest appearances. We've got Silver Sable, we've got Spider-Man, Daredevil's in there. Yeah, the 90s were a time of lots of guest appearances in comics. Jumping up a little bit because I'm missing some issues. 376, the first appearance of Psylord, a future teenage version of Franklin. He founded the Fantastic Force of Earth 6311. Issue 377, first appearance of Huntara. Now, Huntara is Nathaniel and Cassandra Rich's daughter from a kind of divergent universe, Earth 6311, which is where the Fantastic Force came from. Issue 378. We have a new Fearsome Four. Oh no, it's the Frightful Four, isn't it? So this is a new team, the Fearsome Four. Huntara, who was introduced the last issue. We've got Devos, we've got Claw, and we have Paybok, one of the Skrulls. Issue 379. Here we have a mutated version of Sharon Ventura, and she's kind of getting revenge because there's a whole storyline of her spying on the FF by Doom, and that's how she was mutated here, because she went behind Doom's back, and that's why she's a mutant now. Doom has mutated her kind of Thing kind of status. Issue 380, the first appearance of Hunger, which is an alien being that just basically sucks energy. And didn't last very long, so just sucks, basically. Issue 381, and this is the one, yeah, For No More, because one character, well, two really, apparently die, and that's Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Doom, obviously hence that For No More. These kind of stories kind of crack me up. Everybody does it, because we all know they're not really dead, but how long will it be till we get them back? Well, it is quite a while. Issue 382, and we now are calling ourselves the Fantastic Three, because obviously Reed's apparently dead, and they are captured by the Skrulls. Issue 383, still rocking the Fantastic Three title. Issue 383, this is a weird one. We've got Liar here who goes into labour, and we get the first, I guess you'd call it an appearance of a Lackaroo. Now, the Lackaroo, you need to hear this. It's very essential to the Skrull physiology, I guess. But apparently, Skrulls have very difficult pregnancies. So there is this salve, this kind of moisturiser, I don't know, but it's called the Lackaroo. And what it does, it basically melts them to make it easier for what is about to pass through. I don't want to spoil anything just yet, because I will come to it. But yes, she's basically in labour, and they use this ridiculous salve on her so she has an easy pregnancy. Hey, it's the 90s, it's comics. Issue 384, obviously we've got Sue possessed by Malice, but this, the entity gets transferred over to Psylord. Unfortunately, we get rid of this ridiculous Fantastic Three title, because the next issue we have a new partner in this foursome. Issue 385. What have we got? This is part of the Star Blast crossover. Anybody want to tell me what that's about? Because that's the first time I've heard of the Star Blast crossover, but apparently it involved Namor and Quasar. 386. Leia's still in pregnancy. We found about it like 3 issues ago, but here she is, still pushing whatever it is out. And we find out in this issue, Skrulls don't actually give birth to actual kind of like baby versions of themselves. They give birth to eggs. Yes, they're basically humanoid chickens. 387. Ant-Man is now the 4th member. I forgot to say that, which is why we're back to Fantastic Four. A lovely little kind of holographic-y type cover. It's a, do they call it die cast? It's cut out here. Don't really want to get it out of the package to show you any more than that. But this is kind of where the time hopping starts, and we get the first appearance of the Fantastic Four Earth 49487. There are so many universes out there that we are not being shown. We demand more from Marvel, don't we? 388. This is the first appearance, although he's not on the cover, of Dark Raider, who is actually revealed much later on, but I'm going to spoil it for you now. He's actually a Reed Richards from Earth 944. Yes, this is the time where they throw in all the kind of multiverses of the Marvel line, whether you want them or not. This actually also, inside it, has a tribute to Jack Kirby, who died in February of 1994, which was obviously sad, and obviously Fantastic Four, such a big title that he created alongside Stan. Issue 389, and now we're on a future Earth. I told you, lots of time traveling in the 90s, where we have basically barbarians have taken over New York City. Hence the kind of, I guess, jungle, decrepit, crumbling New York City. The Baxter Building in the background, just holding on for dear life. Issue 390, classic homage to a classic issue of times gone by, and it is a kind of twist on that story, where if you'd read the original one, it was Johnny's job and mission to go and get the ultimate nullifier, which was going to stop Galactus, but in this tale there's a twist, and it's Reed that goes instead of Johnny, but he gets back too late because he was far too interested in looking at all the scientific artifacts on the moon where the Watcher's kind of base was, which is a little bit ironic, I guess. Issue 391, another homage cover, this time to issue 49. This is the first appearance of Vibraxus, something like that, who was a member of the Wakanda population. He was, I think it was something to do with vibranium, and it vibrated and gave off powers to him. I don't know. It's also the first appearance of Devlaw, a mutant inhuman. Issue 392, and yes, we did get the Dark Raider revealed in this issue, and I've already told you who it was, but it's in this issue that the Fantastic Four disband once again. Yes, they love disbanding and getting back together. It just means we can get some new teammates in the mix and try and keep the title fresh as possible. Issue 393. This is kind of a story about the breakup of the FF, but it's from Ant-Man's perspective. And we've got one of Fantastic Four's kind of big, I guess, villains. Perhaps a little lower tier than the likes of Doom, but the Puppet Master is one of those kind of villains who is trying to do something good but does it in a bad way, and all at the moment he's trying to do is make his daughter Alicia happy, but by doing that he just creates this universe where everything is perfect. Throughout all these issues that you've been watching, and probably a little bit in the last video, the Thing has had his face scarred by Wolverine in a fight, and it's just a nice little touch. You can see at the bottom that the kind of head that she's sculpting has the Thing's scarred face on there, despite the fact that in this made up world that the Puppet Master has created, the Thing is perfectly has his scars removed, as ugly as he still is. Oh, beauty's only skin deep. Issue 394, first appearance of Raptor the Renegade, which was a kind of archaeologist who wanted to remove this Indian totem, which was to this raptor god, and he basically took on the powers, I guess, of this totem, and he was a bit of a baddie, but he didn't last very long because he got back to normal by the end of the issue. Tom DeFalco is the writer pretty much, well, he is pretty much all the way through till the very end of this particular volume, but here, just for one issue, we have Mike Lackey writing this dark shadow tale from the past. Issue 395, you don't see him on the cover because we want to get a Wolverine Thing cover to get people to continue to buy this title, you know, throw Wolverine into it. But we got a first appearance of Superandroid, created by another of the Fantastic Four's cadre of villains, the Mad Thinker. And Superandroid basically mimics the Fantastic Four's powers. The reason these two are on the cover is Wolverine is trying to apologise for scarring the Thing's face, but, you know, the Thing is stubborn. Ben Grimm is not having it, but they kind of team up at the end to take down the Superandroid. What's been going on with Sue in all this? Well, she's on the case to find clues to where her apparently dead husband is. She's not giving up anytime soon, and the clues could be in Latveria, in Doom's castle, and that's what she's trying to infiltrate. I think we have Christoph using one of the Doom bots as leader of Latveria, so the population don't think that Doom is dead. 397, and this brought the team back together. Well, at least 3 of them, along with Ant-Man. The Fantastic Four all decide they want to join back up together. 398, and yes, we're going to see a lot of these silvery kind of, they're not holographic covers per se. I'm trying to remember what you call them, because they're just a bit sparkly, I guess you call it, but these silver covers. Anyway, 398 sees the first appearance of He Who Summons. He doesn't even have a name, it's just He Who Summons. And apparently He Who Summons is a high-ranking member of the Watchers Council. What we also do get in here is the first appearance of the Crimson Cadre, a bunch, I guess they're villains, I think they are, of General Ator, Ruta, Margoyle, Selleck, Glabu, and Pulsus. Yeah, some great villain names there, which don't explain who they are or what they are in the slightest. Gearing up to issue 400, we have 399. Nothing exactly exciting happens here, but we're still rocking these silver covers, these foil types deals. Then finally, issue 400, continuing the tradition of greatness, the 64-page 400th issue. And here we have the death of Aaron the Rogue Watcher. Probably a point that I haven't mentioned throughout this, but every time we've seen the Watcher in the issues, we thought it was Uatu, but it's actually Aaron the Rogue Watcher taking on the guise of him, and who's been causing all the problems for the FF. It's jam-packed with villains. You've got Red Ghost in there, you've got Mole Man, you've got Annihilus, you've got the Frightful Four. It also has an introduction by the creator, Stan Lee, on this. When I was doing these and I was just making notes for each issue, it did amuse me. The price of this particular issue, which I can't even remember, it must have come out late 1994, I think, maybe early 95, but for 64 pages it was $3.95. You can't even get a 20-page comic for that these days. I know there's inflation and all that, but I just found it amusing that there's 64 pages of comic in here and it was only $3.95. Issue 401, and this is the star or part of the Atlantis Rising storyline. Now, I must have put the side issues of this in another box because the Fantastic Four did have a 4-part kind of mini series, not so much prestige format. I will show them in another video, but I thought I had these in kind of chronological order, which I obviously haven't, because this is, I think, part 3 of the storyline, and Atlantis Rising, it's obviously all to do with Namor and his power and his throne being usurped at the time. Anything else to say about that one? Not really, apart from the fact that Johnny, they've just joined back together, and then Johnny leaves the FF and goes to join Fantastic Force. Another part of the Atlantis Rising storyline where we have Thor fighting the Fantastic Four. Thor currently under the control of Morgan Le Fay. Issue 403, a first appearance of sorts, I guess, of the Sun Demons. Now, although we see these as statues, they are, I guess you'd call them characters, that they all basically resemble the Thing, Ben Grimm, and there's something along there to do with aliens. It's always aliens that are at fault, but it's first appearance. Issue 405, nothing really of note in that issue. 406 starts this Strange Days storyline, which basically is bringing back Doom and Reed Richards. It's if you've got this issue, might be worth looking at. There's a little bit of a continuity error in here. As I've said previously, the Thing is scarred at the moment, but there are a couple of panels early on in this issue where his scars have disappeared. So naughty Ryan and Belandi, someone should have spotted that. It's just ruined the story for me. Took me right out of it. 407, and yes, finally, Reed returns, and we find out basically where he is. We have a first appearance of a character called Artabazus, who is basically a Hyborian sorcerer, and yes, that's where he's been all this time. Reed back in, I guess, the past, and finally, yes. He's here, he's back, we can have the Fantastic Four, the original, back together. And that's basically what happens in 408, where Liar and Ant-Man basically, shuffle off into the background because, Reed's back, they've got their four back together again. Issue 409. I think this concludes the Strange Days storyline, where Hyperstorm has been the baddie for this kind of storyline. He's been behind everything, and he, I don't know why, I can't even remember why he does this, but he heals the Thing's face, so it's no longer scarred. So we've got the Fantastic Four back. So what do? They discuss this weird love triangle between Johnny Storm, Liar, and Ben Grimm. If you've been keeping up, Elijah decided to pretend to be Alicia Masters to infiltrate the FF, but in that time fell in love with Johnny Storm. Obviously the Thing was mad because he thought, well, they all thought it was Alicia Masters and they had a relationship, but then it was revealed that it was Elijah. Johnny was like, I'm not having any of this. He buggers off, and for some reason Thing decided he had feelings for Elijah. It's a soap opera. You talk about X-Men being a soap opera. Well, the Fantastic Four, they're just as bad. Issue, excuse me, issue 411, and basically this is coming out of the Atlantis Rising storyline. Black Bolt has gone mad because someone's bent his antenna, so he's gone absolutely crazy, and it's up to the Fantastic Four to try and put him down and get him back to normal and basically straighten out that little antenna. 412, and you've had one love triangle. Here's another one for the ages. Namor, Reed, and Sue. Namor has been part of the team while Reed was away, and obviously he's had his secret agenda of getting close to Sue, who he's been in love with for, well, years. and so this battle is obviously here. Reed's back to take back his woman. Issue 413. This is a kind of one done in one deal. It was a crossover from the title Doom 2099. Issue 414, and we get Franklin back to the age that we recognise him as, a young child, and this is getting closer to the Onslaught event, which brought about the end of this volume of Fantastic Four. And here we have it, issue 415. This is Onslaught Phase 1, which basically crossed over between all the big titles of the time, so X-Men, Avengers, and obviously Fantastic Four. And then we finally finish with issue 416, the final issue of Volume 1, but as you will see, keep watching, it won't be the last one. So those are all my comics for the 90s. Hold fire, I'm going to come in front of the camera again. I'm going to explain what happens next. So yes, issue 416 saw the end of the first volume of Fantastic Four, and it chopped and changed quite a bit from then on. If you think I can remember all this, you're wrong, and I have it all written down here because it goes through some changes, and we're going to have a look at those changes. Don't you worry, there are a lot more Fantastic Four comics to show you. But this is what happens, and I've only gone to a certain extent, and there's even more after that. But so we had the end of Fantastic Four Volume 1, and then it moves to Volume 2, which only lasted 13 issues. Now there was a reason for that, and you're going to find out in a future video. It then went on to Fantastic Four Volume 3, which lasted 71 issues. Now if you're good at maths and add the 416 to the 13 issues to those 71s, what do we get? Oh yes, Fantastic Four can come back with an issue 500, a big anniversary special. And that lasted another 88 issues. It lasted till issue 588, where it then had a rebrand and started as Fantastic Four Volume 1 for 11 issues. It then went back to its original numbering because, oh, guess what? That made it up to issue 600 if we were doing it all as one volume. That only lasted for 64 issues, 600 to 664, where we then got the FF Volume 4. That only lasted 16 issues. Then we had FF Volume 5. That lasted even less for 14 issues. And then they reverted back to Volume 1 and started with issue 642. But that ended with issue 645. Was that any point to that? And then there's more after that. And then obviously, as the time of this video going out, we've already had the first issue. The Fantastic Four are back after a long hiatus of Marvel not putting out any Fantastic Four comics, at least those titled as such. So there will be more videos. I might take a little break with this for a while and get my thoughts together for the next video of the collection of Fantastic Four. I hope you're enjoying these. I am just getting to look back at all my issues of the FF, which as I've said many times before, FF is definitely my heart when it comes to comics. I have such a fondness for this team and basically everything they've gone through, and a lot of the creators that were part of the telling of their story. So until next time, thank you all for watching. I will now bid you adieu, goodbye, take care.